Hey guys, welcome back to the kitchen. Today we're working on 5 more gluten-free anti-inflammatory backpacking meals. On the menu today is dinner. We're going to be working on ginger chicken noodle soup, Moroccan lentil tagine, chili mac, a Thai-style peanut chickpea bowl, and last but not least, a salmon chowder with potato and corn. If this is your first time jumping into backpacking meals with us, we are testing out some recipes from a meal plan that some grad students from my alumni where I got my dietetics degree sent me. They sent me a 3-week meal plan with breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks, and we're testing out all of those recipes. If we like them, we're gonna freeze dry them and they're going on the trail with us. We have been making a few adjustments here and there just to make these a little bit more backpacking and freeze dryer friendly. And we're gonna jump right into the chicken noodle soup. Now, with this chicken noodle soup, it does say to boil the broth with the carrots and celery for 10 minutes, and then we add the diced chicken noodles and seasonings. I'm gonna adjust this a little bit first before we throw everything into the broth, and it does call for 4 cups of broth. I also probably won't use the full 4 cups of broth, just because it's going in the freeze dryer anyway. We don't need all of that fluid just for it to come back out, so we're gonna do a little bit more of a concentrated version. I am using gluten-free bouillon cubes. Normally for something like this, I would probably use bone broth. However, I'm kind of trying to save my bone broth to take in just in little packages and sip along the trail. And this has 4 ounces of chicken in it already, along with a few other things, the gluten-free noodles. So I think it probably has enough protein in it already that it probably does not need to add bone broth in addition. So I'm just going to use regular chicken broth with a gluten-free bouillon cube. Instead of putting everything right into that water, we're going to start out by sauteing the carrots and celery to give a little bit of extra flavor in there. Then we're also going to saute the chicken. Same thing. We want a little bit of browning and flavoring on that before we stick it into the soup. I'm going to season these chicken pieces just a little bit with pepper and salt. Now, we've talked about it in previous videos as well, but this recipe calls for turmeric. If you want turmeric to be bioavailable for your body, if you want your body to be able to use the anti-inflammatory properties of it, you need to pair it with black pepper. I've got salt and pepper right now, and I think I'll do a little bit of this. We've been using this a little bit, this umami seasoning, mushroom and onions. That should be pretty tasty. I tasted that soup and it is delicious. It's concentrated right now. Before I added the pasta in, you could probably see that, I let the water boil a little bit longer just to get some of the water as far down as possible, but enough to still be able to boil the pasta in it. So right now it's really thick. It's almost more of a stew at this point, but the flavor is fantastic. Up next is our lentil tagine. The first step in this is to saute the carrots. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. I think I'm gonna cook everything, even though it does call for tomato puree. I'm still gonna cook it in my cast iron. I know that's kind of a no-no for some people. You don't cook acidic things or like tomato products in cast iron, but I cook everything in mine. Like, it doesn't matter what it is, it all just goes in this same pan. tagine smells really good. It's not bad, but it does need, I think, just a little bit more herbs or spices kicked up in here. So I'm just gonna bump up a little bit of the turmeric, the pepper. I'm gonna add a little bit of salt, a little more cinnamon, and I might add something else in there maybe, but this will go ahead. I've already weighed out the chicken soup, and I believe it's 23 ounces. I'm gonna get this, herb it up, spice this up just a little bit, and then get it weighed on the tray as well. Next up is the quinoa chili mac. Now, there is no quinoa in this, so I don't know why it's quinoa chili mac. I've put the lentils and the beans in here already. I'm just gonna mix this stuff up. I believe the pasta is cooking right now while we mix the rest of this stuff up. It doesn't say what kind of beans to use. My initial thought would be to use black beans because that's, I don't know, just typically what I use. But I feel like we've used a lot of black beans lately and I kind of want to mix it up. So I used white kidney beans, cannellini beans, and green lentils. I'm gonna mix up the tomato. Now the ingredients say tomato powder. I don't have tomato powder available currently. I do have tomato paste, which is what is in the instructions. So we're gonna just do 2 tablespoons of tomato paste and hope that that is correct. When I hear chili mac, I kind of want like some ground beef and some cheese, or even some nutritional yeast would be good in this, I think. If you wanted to add a little bit of extra flavor, cheesy flavor in there. When it says chili seasoning, I assume it just means chili powder, but I'm not quite sure. Chili powder in here. We have our pasta made. We're just gonna add it right in here to this bowl. And we'll see how this turns out. I don't know if I mentioned with the tagine, I added ginger, paprika, some more cinnamon, some salt, some pepper, and a little more turmeric. It's pretty good. This is a lot of pasta compared to everything else. We might have to kind of zest this up a little bit. I smell the chili powder though. This is okay. It's a little bit bland. I have some sun-dried tomatoes maybe I can add to this. And I'm looking at the macros on this. There's no chance this is actually 55 grams of protein. Maybe we're supposed to use a gluten-free protein pasta. I used just brown rice elbows. That's what I happen to have sitting there. So I'm kind of wondering if I want to add a little bit of ground beef to this, and yeah, maybe a little bit of cheese, or maybe some nutritional yeast to kind of just punch up the flavor and actually the protein and micronutrients in this. So let me think about that for a moment. I realized I don't have any ground beef thawed, and I didn't want to take the time to thaw it and cook it and all that, but I do have pressure canned venison. So I put 4 ounces, I kind of shredded up some venison and put 4 ounces of venison in here, added some salt, some pepper, Fiesta blend cheese, a 1/4 cup of this, and I just tasted it again. Kind of reminds me of, I mean, I don't know what you guys call goulash, but when I was growing up, my Aunt Terry made goulash, and it was elbow macaroni, beef, and tomato puree or something. It was so good. It kind of reminds me of that a little bit. This is delicious. It brings me back to childhood. It tastes a little bit like home. It's fabulous. Next up, we have our Thai-style peanut chickpea bowl. I have the chickpeas and the rice already in the pan, and to it we're going to add a 1/2 cup of coconut milk powder. This seems like a lot to me, but I love coconut milk, so oh, it smells so good. And then 2 tablespoons of peanut butter powder. I have this PB Fit. I also have I've got this 4 Sigmatic protein powder, like peanut butter protein powder, but I think we're gonna go with just like the plain old peanut butter powder for this. I juiced a lime to add the lime juice, and I think I zested one Ooh, that smells good as well. So I think we'll see how this tastes, but I might add a little bit of lime zest at the end just to punch up the flavor a little bit. And also the soy sauce. I don't have any gluten-free soy sauce here, so we're just going to use coconut aminos. Looking over this recipe, it lists 45 grams of protein. There's no way there's 45 grams of protein in there. It's probably closer to maybe 20 or 20, maybe 25 grams of protein. So what I'm gonna do to adjust that and kind of bump it up a little bit, I do have some leftover chicken. So that chicken recipe that we did earlier where we needed the 4 ounces of chicken, I just cut up an entire chicken breast and this is what was left over. There's maybe like 3 ounces in here, so I'm just gonna go ahead and add that to this recipe and kind of bump that protein up a little bit, and it'll make it a little more filling as well. Let's give it a try and see how it tastes. A little bit of chicken and the chickpea in there. It smells good. I smell the coconut way more than the peanut butter. I almost really don't smell the peanut butter. The coconut, I love coconut, but this is almost giving like a soapy coconut smell. I don't know if it's either what's in this coconut milk powder, there's a few additives in there, or if it's just the sheer amount of coconut powder in there. But let's give it a try and see how it is. I taste a little peanut butter in there, but not really much at all. I think I'm gonna add 1 more tablespoon to get the peanut butter flavor up there. That'll also kick the protein amount up a little bit as well. And add like 4 more grams of protein, not much, but you know, every gram counts. That's way more balanced. I'm just gonna add the zest on top of this. I mean, I don't know why I'm saying on top, it's just gonna get mixed all together in there, but always add the zest, always. Last but not least for today, we have the salmon chowder. I have my potato flakes and coconut milk here, and the corn and garlic. We have some thyme to put in. I decided to use canned salmon, and something I have determined I really do not like about canned salmon is that it says right here that it's 14.75 ounces. And in my head, I'm kind of thinking, that's a lot of salmon. Like 14 ounces, that's a lot to fit in this little thing. Well, I mean, they're measuring the water and everything else as well. So it's only like 5 ounces of salmon in here. It's definitely not 14.75. So just, I'm sure a lot of people already know that, but keep that in mind when you're going to buy canned fish and different things like that. The water weight is also being measured in there. It's not just the salmon. The broth is going, and we're just gonna add everything in there. Just like our soup earlier, this is another instance where we're doing a little bit of a concentrated recipe here. For now, at least. I only put 1.5 cups of the liquid in there because we're going to be freeze drying it anyway. So I have my thyme. I don't actually know how much that is, but that looks like the right amount. Garlic. And the corn. I kind of feel like we should have a little more corn in there, but we'll see how it turns out. It's gonna get thick. I almost want a little bit of polenta in here to thicken it up as well, and mix with the corn. I mean, there's pieces of corn in there, but I feel like a little polenta would be kind of nice in here too. That's it. We're just gonna let these flavors kind of meld together, and maybe like 5 or 10 minutes, and then it'll be done. All right, let's give this a try. It's okay, but it needs a little something. I added some salt and pepper, and then I'm gonna add 2 tablespoons of polenta. and that'll thicken it up as well as add some flavor. And then I have the leftover lime juice that we used from the last recipe. I'm gonna pour a little bit of lime juice in there. And I think that'll be perfect. We'll let the polenta cook up a little bit longer. And then I'll get this on the tray, I'll weigh it up, I'll get everything in the freeze dryer, and I'll meet you back here when everything is done. We're back. It's been about a day and a half, 2 days, and everything is freeze dried. I found also I don't remember if I told you before, the Mylar bags I had been using were kind of the taller ones. And those are fine, but whenever you go to put your spoon in, your hands can get just a little bit messy. I also feel like they don't rehydrate as well. I think these rehydrate better, and they're just a little bit less messy to dig around with your spoon in. So very grateful I found those. I have on my phone all of the pre-freeze dried weights for these meals. So we're gonna go ahead, get them in the bags, weigh them up now, and compare so that we know our rehydration instructions for when we are a few 100 miles or so into the trail. Let's give you a closer up of some of these things. There's the ginger chicken noodle soup, the lentil tagine. This was the chili mac that we added some venison to. That was the chickpea bowl that we added chicken to, and that is the salmon chowder. Had a couple leftover trays, and you never want to waste a tray when you're running it, so this also, it looks terrible. But that is butternut squash soup, and that is, I believe, a greens, like a broccoli, sweet pea, something odd soup. The ginger lemon soup pre-freeze drying was 23 ounces. Let's see what it is afterward. I have everything packaged up and reweighed. So our ginger chicken soup, that started out, as we said, at 23 ounces, and we got it down to 6.4 ounces. I have on here to add 2 cups if you want it to be that thick soup, or if you remember, I had it pretty concentrated when we put it on the trays. It was very, very thick, more like a stew or almost even a pasta, just like a pasta at that point. There wasn't a lot of broth left in the soup. So if we want it a little soupier, we'll add a little bit more water to that. Then let's see, our tagine. It started out 22.4 ounces. We got it down to 7.8 ounces in here. So adding 16, we'll add about 16 ounces of water to that, or 2 cups. Next is the chili mac. I had I have these ones, I just said I found these, and I was going to attempt to put it in there, but there was no way. I could tell it was not going to fit in there after we added that venison, 4 ounces of venison in there, and it was just too much. So I figured we would just put it in a different container just to be safe. That started out, this chili mac started out at 30 ounces. That was a lunker. We got it down to 8.1 ounces. So on here, I have to add 24 ounces of water, or 3 cups of water. It's a little bit extra, but again, rather have it a little bit wet when we're in the back country there than to have it crunchy and not reabsorbed and rehydrated. Our peanut chickpea bowl, we started that with 20 ounces. We got that down to 7.7 ounces, which is about 12 ounces or a cup and a half of water to be rehydrated with. Last but not least, our salmon chowder started out at 18 ounces. We got this down to 3.9 ounces. So we're gonna add about 16 ounces or 2 cups of water to that. And out of those soups I was telling you about, I think I had 3 quarts. Yes, I had 3 quarts of this soup, 2 butternut squash and 1 greens, like an organic green soup. So I just mixed them all up together, and I separated them into 3 containers. So each of these is about a quart of soup, which is a lot of soup, but I think it'll make a nice supplement to sipping on maybe as we're walking. Maybe I'll make it around breakfast time or something when it's cold out, and just kind of sip on this throughout the day. I hope you're able to get something useful out of those 5 meals that we tested out. I'll be back here again next time with some more to test. See you then.